Hi all, I'm Libby, proud captain of Millwall Lionesses. Thank you to our Millwall fan show from the No One Likes Us Talking team for sponsoring me this year. Make sure you give them a listen like I do. Or even better, why not sponsor a Lioness while you're at it like they do? Thank you always for your continued support.
This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us Talking team, which is available every Friday at 8 p.m.
It is the 17th show of COVID-19 reducing in lockdown 3.0 here in England. I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of James Kelly, Gary Staff, the man that meets Stan incognito, Ted Robinson.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Firstly, before I turn to the panel, there are a few announcements. The Lions Food Hub, based in Renian Manor Estate Tenants and Residents Association Hall in Bermondsey, are looking for food and financial support. You can find Lions Food Hub on Twitter and Facebook, or enter Lions Food Hub Banquet, and that's BANKUET, into your browser and make a one-off or regular donation. Yes, you can help them by just doing that. Michael Cole, 36, a lifelong Lions fan and son of former Millwall employee Mark, had been given 2 months to live, but is currently in Guy's Hospital and receiving morphine and radiotherapy, which along with chemotherapy could extend his life for a year. However, Michael's friend, Kevin Lott, is raising money for Michael to be able to afford private treatment, which could give him the opportunity to live for many more years. Any donation, big or small, would be hugely appreciated towards Michael's treatment, and that would be something that his family and friends would really like to happen. For more information and to donate, insert fundraiser by Kevin Lott supporting Mike Cole into your browser, and a link will appear to where you can make a donation. So, fundraiser by Kevin Lott supporting Mike Cole. Put that in your browser, and if you can make a donation. Hi, James. Good to have you back. How's it going?
Evening, Eamon. Yeah, very well, thanks. Been pretty busy, but near the weekend again, so I can't complain.
Well, you can't beat getting near the weekend because it all happens tomorrow. So how bad's that? And how about you, Gary?
I'm all right. Back in the office a bit more often now. I've even started going into some of my clients, so that makes a nice change. Actually seeing life again.
Oh, that's nice. Seeing people does make a big difference. How about you, Ted?
I'm fine, Eamon. I've had my second jab today, so I'm with it, sort of.
You don't feel harmless or anything like that?
No, I've got a funny feeling in my left thumb, whatever that means. I don't know about that, but apart from that, I'm fine. I'm fighting fit, as they say.
That's good to hear. And talking about fighting fit, what a turnaround it was at Watford on Saturday. I know we didn't win, but I felt we did quite good, considering this was a team that was bouncing back towards the Premiership, and they did do that. James, how did you see the game develop?
It was a much better improved performance than Bournemouth. I thought we gave a really good account of ourselves, and I think looking back at it, we're unlucky not to get at least a point out of that. Watford obviously took the lead through an early penalty in Ismail Assar, but after that we just kept peppering them with chance after chance. We just couldn't get that final finish, but as you said, Watford needed to win that to get back to the Premier League, and they've done so, so congratulations to them.
Yeah, Gary, when you look at that was millions against micro money when you look at the Watford side and the Millwall side, yeah?
Agreed, and if you look at the way the whole division's gone this season, it was always going to be Norwich, Watford, Bournemouth, there or thereabouts, because they didn't sell anyone. Managed, because of the COVID situation, that no one wanted to really move around. They kept their best players, and literally, if they didn't bounce back, there would have been a lot of questions asked, really, because of the players they had in there. And I think someone quoted, I can't tell you the Watford side, but I think someone quoted last week, 145 million for the Bournemouth side. Look, come on, what is it, 1.8 million or something for our top player? We do compete with that. That's the thing. We do compete with teams like that. So we're punching, but maybe just as we were talking off air before, a couple of players, and we can be one of those teams challenging for the top 6. But money does talk, doesn't it, when you've got that much money to play around with?
Yeah, they're talking about levelling the playing field shortly. It'll be interesting times. It's talk of the parachute payments disappearing, the amount of money at different levels being shared a bit more proportionately. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Ted, what did you think of our 3 up the front there?
Yeah, I thought we went quite well, actually. I mean, for the first sort of 15, 20 minutes of the game, we struggled, didn't we?
Yeah.
But when you look at the quality that Watford have got, especially in Sarr, I mean, Sarr's, without a doubt, probably the best player in the Championship, I think, this year. And, I think what we have to do, and we did do it on Saturday, we in fact, over the game, was the better team. The team as a whole was better than the Watford team. But mind you have to realise the situation that Watford were in. They knew a result would get them into the Premier League. Perhaps they got a little bit edgy or whatever, but that's taking nothing away from us. I thought as a team performance, it was really good. But apart from the front three, which was something different and it looked good, what I did like, Eamonn, is the way the young boys are coming on. Mitchell, although he gave the penalty away, he's looking more and more like a Championship player. Danny McNamara looks like he's always played in the Championship. And even the 2 boys that came on, Tyler Bure and Aidan Muller, the short time that they was on, they look first-team players, if you know what I mean. And that's got to be good for next season, because all of a sudden we've got 4 players that I've spoken about that we can throw into the squad expecting to get into the first team. But on Saturday, it was a good performance. All that was missing was the goal, wasn't it? You know, we deserved it. We was, as I say, I thought we was the better team. We looked the more likely to score. I thought Tom Bradshaw had one of his best games for Millwall. He was very mobile up the front there, and maybe that's somewhere a way that Gary might look to go next season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting times. They certainly made a mark for the side, and perhaps we'll see them again in action against Bristol City on Saturday. So yeah, Tyler Kai Bury, as I've now found out, he looks like he's up for it. But we've also got that other lad, Mitchell, who's out on loan at the moment, and he's a bigger guy who they reckon is going to be big potential in the centre-back region as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Be interesting times, I think, going into next season. There's lots to do. We'll see who we can get, and let's hope we have a good result on Saturday. In the meantime, we'll take a break there and be back with our first guest this evening. But for now, let's listen to Fantastic Fanatics and see what they can offer for our club.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm Eamonn Barclay, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us Talking team of James Kelly, Ted Robinson and Gary Staff. My mate Reg signed up for the Fantastic Fanatics online and raised £17.50 for the club when renewing his motor insurance. So give it a go. It's a great return. Despite what Wikipedia says, our first guest tonight started his footballing trail at Dartford. This Bermondsey boy was a regular attender at the Den until his own football development took priority. He moved on to Maidstone from the Darts, where he scored an amazing number of goals before being signed for the Lions on a 2-year academy scholarship. He was included in the squad for one match in that championship campaign, a 1-3 home defeat to Leicester City on New Year's Day 2014. He made many loan moves with Barnet, Aldershot, Bromley, Hampton and Richmond, and back to where it all began at Dartford. During that period, he made 8 appearances from the bench for us and kept it warm on another 13 occasions for the Lions. As we returned to the Championship in 2017, he headed off on a free transfer to Welling United. Then on to Dartford, where he scored 22 goals in 38 appearances. He was awarded the National League South Player of the Season award at the end of the 17-18 season, and he also gained an England C cap in 2018. Further moves saw him join Avon and Waterlooville, Dover, Barnet, a loan to his roots at Dartford, and now back with Barnet on furlough. I'm delighted to welcome a player I certainly thought was going to make it with us. Hello, Alfie Pavey. You're welcome, mate.
Hi, guys. How are we?
They'll say hello to you in a minute.
Hi, Alfie. It's Gary.
Evening, Alfie.
Oh, that was nice of them, wasn't it? They're kindly like that, yeah. Alfie, before I let the team chat with you, how did your footballing development begin? And how did you come to join Dartford?
Yeah, so I think just at a young age, I always enjoyed playing football, just over the park, school, with my friends and things like that. It sort of got a bit serious once I was at Dartford and I moved on to my college scheme at Maidstone. I was never one to really go to academy trials or anything like that. My mum sort of kept me away from all of that because we felt like at such a young age, till you turn 16, before that you're sort of just a number. So it was always just be happy, enjoy my football, play with my friends, and then later on in my career try and develop it as best as possible.
Obviously, parallel with education. Did you get that balance? Did you strike that right?
I was never very academic in school. My mum was always set on me to become a professional football player. So anything that I'd done was around football. So once I left school, the pathway for me was join a football college, a football scheme as such. So that's when I joined Maidstone. It was just a football program, so I do my BTEC on the side of it, get my coaching badges on the side of that as well, and just play football every Wednesday.
So, thank you, Alfie's mum. You've got a footballer on the ground. Wonderful stuff.
Hi, Alfie. It's James here. You moved on to Maidstone, where you had a bit of a goal scoring spree. Can you tell us a bit about that? Because we've seen figures and quotes which obviously led to Millwall coming in for you. So what was it that took place at Maidstone to sort of enhance your chances of joining Millwall?
Yeah, so obviously I joined that scheme at around 16 years old, I think I was. And yeah, we was a really good team, to be fair. It was a team full of players who have been let go at a younger age from Chelsea, some at Millwall, and other professional clubs. So I was sort of the only player in that team that hadn't had that academy experience as such, but I was playing with players who were phenomenal. I couldn't explain how good that team was. So yeah, I was just managed to I think the figure was saying 122 goals in a season, and I was just enjoyed scoring goals, and the players around me were just constantly creating chances for me. Okay, the standard we was playing up against wasn't that great, but on the other hand, the team I was playing in was on another level to anyone else. We'd have friendlies against professional clubs, and we was competing with them. We had friendlies against QPR, and we was beating QPR and teams. That's how good our team was at the time. So that's sort of how it started, and there was always talk of clubs interested in me at that age. Once I did start scoring, I think Gillingham was one of them as well, and a guy Barry Dunn, who's head of scouting for 18s and below for Millwall, who's currently still there. I speak to him on a regular basis. He always used to watch me, and he was the only one who ever really took a chance as such on me to say, do you know what, come in, have a trial and see where it goes.
Nice.
Cool. Just two questions here, Alfie. I'll go on to the main one in a minute, but I just wondered, from that team, you said they were so good, did any of that team make it back into the league?
No, I couldn't tell. I don't speak to any of them now, but I'm the only one who's continued playing football from that team, which is quite frightening considering how good they were. I think a few people just sort of give up. And like I said, at a young age, I feel like you are just a number and you're just there for body. So when you don't get your scholarship, it's then quite hard to bounce back from that, if that makes sense. Where I feel like if you get picked up at a later age, there's more of an opportunity for you to progress and have a football career. So that was always my mindset on it. Prime example, Ian Wright. Do you know what I mean? How late did he get picked up to? That's a prime example for me. So yeah.
I believe that you are good friends with Mr. Thompson, and you've got quite some histories in your football progress together. Can you tell me, are you still in touch today?
Yeah, we are. We speak daily basis, every hour. So somebody that is very close to me, obviously.
Is he helping you as well? Obviously, he knows you're still at Millwall, but is he helping you try and get back in and make the right choices? Because I know his loan move down at Portsmouth really helped him as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I think we all discuss football together. Do you know what I mean? And if we need a kick up the backside, or we're not doing anything, we'll turn around and say to each other, or let's say, for example, he's played on Sky and I've watched him, and I'll turn around and say, Tomo, you was rubbish today, mate. You know what I mean? We'd have a bit of banter about it, do you know what I mean? But in all seriousness, I think we're old enough to know whether we played good or whether we played bad. We're not oblivious to it, or we're not deluded to the situation. But yeah, I played with Ben at Dartford at such a young age, and he obviously got picked up, I think it was 2 years before I did. And then, we crossed paths once I went in on trial to Millwall, and we sort of lost touch once he went off to Millwall, and I was sort of still playing in the Sunday football as such. We sort of lost touch, but we regained our friendship once I was back in that environment, because I didn't know anybody. So I heard of Sid Nelson, for example, which we never really used to get along outside of football. Like, we always used to look at each other and just never had a fight or anything like that, but we just never got on. Do you know what I mean? We'd go to the same parties and things like that, and we just never see eye to eye. But another friendship that I've gained, and I class him as my best mate. So it's crazy how the game works.
So for a bit of inside information, how does Ben think things are going inside at the moment?
Yeah, I think he's enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? It's a club he loves, and I couldn't be prouder of him of how he's done. You know, if we look at our youth team as such, when we was there, or should I say our 23s under Neil Harris, how good that side was. If you put that team back together now, I think we could probably compete in a league together, because you look at the likes of Aidan O'Brien, Sunderland, who I speak to still, Fred Onyedinma, myself, Sid Nelson, Ben Thompson, Tom King. I'm trying to think who else there was.
Philpott? Yeah,
Philpott, but he's faded now. Like, I don't really know what he's doing. I think he's given up on the football front. To be fair, I don't really speak to him. But another one who had a bright future, and I think just let his football get away from him. To be fair, so. But that's Jack Powell, another one.
Yeah. Crawley.
Yeah. So, and Marlon Romeo, number of games under his belt. So if you look at that team is a solid team. And
was McNamara, or is he a bit later?
Danny was a bit younger than us, so yeah. So I think he might have been 2 years younger than us. But another one that's come through the system, who's flying at the moment.
Yeah.
Hello, Alfie. It's Ted here. All right, mate.
Hi, mate.
Yeah. You made your debut, Alfie, as I believe you was a teenager, I think. When the team wasn't going too well, and despite Neil's best efforts, we dropped back to League One that year. What do you remember of that season, though, and actually making your debut? It must have been a wonderful feeling just to get out there and being out on the football field as a player.
Yeah, so I think Steve Lomas was in charge, and I was flying in the youth team, scoring goals for the 23s. And I remember Dave Livermore and Justin Skinner was my managers at the time for the under 18s. And I remember Dave coming into me one day and going, "Do you know the Middlesbrough team?" I'm looking at him thinking, "What's he on about here? Like, why do I need to know the Middlesbrough team? We ain't got a game this Saturday against Middlesbrough." So, and he was like, "Oh, just asking a question like that." Funny enough, I ended up getting called into the squad on the back of my FA Youth Cup performances. So that was my first experience of sort of in the team. Steve Lomas putting me in. I was training up with the first team. I didn't obviously make the bench that day. Steve obviously got a sack, and Neil took over, and that's when he introduced myself and Fred into the first team and started taking us Doncaster away, and I think we had an FA Cup game against Southend, if I think I'm correct. So I was getting that sort of experience quite at a young age, and obviously there's some big characters in that change room at the time: Danny Shittu and Alan Dunn, David Ford. Do you know what I mean? It's quite frightening. It's quite frightening, especially when you've got that sort of stature, Paul Robinson, them sort of players that you're sort of looking up to, and in a way, you're trying to take their place. So yeah, I sort of got introduced quite at a young age, and then obviously I got put on the bench. I think it was New Year's Day against Leicester City, and what an experience that was. Neil and Scott took charge, and they put a bit of faith into me. So I'm sitting there thinking, cool, I'm 17 years age, and I'm going to get a little bonus here. Like, I've never had a bonus in my life. Do you know what I mean? But it turns out I didn't even get the bonus in the end. So I was a bit disappointed. It wasn't in the young lads' contracts to say they make the bench, then you get a little bonus. That's
typical Millwall, Alfie. Typical Millwall. You've got to read the small print in the contracts, mate.
Yeah,
I tell
exactly. You don't get a win for sitting on the
bench. So yeah, it just sort of went from there. And then obviously Neil was my 23s manager, and then Neil ended up getting a job. So I think it was Wolves away, wasn't it? So yeah, it was the last game of the season, Wolves away, and I remember just sitting. What an atmosphere! I think they was pushing for promotion at the time. I think there was like a few points off the playoffs. Yeah, and they needed someone to lose to make the playoffs. And yeah, he ended up obviously coming on, but I wasn't meant to come on that day. To be fair, it was the last 5 minutes of the game, and Jamie Philpott got put on, and then there was still one unused sub. Jamie obviously got injured, and Ben Thompson standing on the touchline ready to come on. Jamie Philpott's obviously gone down with a knee injury, and that's when he's obviously had to make a different change because he ain't going to put Ben Thompson up front. So yeah, that's when I ended up getting a call to say, Alfie coming on, and obviously Ben had to sit back down. And to this day, we obviously still joke about it, but look where he is now, so he's got the last laugh in it. So, so yeah, it was an amazing feeling, obviously, because that's what you set out to do. You set out to obviously make your debut and get that feeling, and it just makes you want more.
Yeah, this may be a bit of a harsh question, Alfie, in a sense, but now that was a few years ago. Do you look back and think, is there something I should have done or never done, and that's the reason why I didn't continue a longer career, say like Ben's at Millwall? Is there anything that you think you could have done differently?
Yes, I do look back and think I could have done more, but I think once you get released, you're always going to say that to yourself. What can I do more? I do feel like a bit of me, I didn't get an opportunity to express myself a bit more, if that makes sense, or have the opportunity to play in the first team as I would like to have. Use an example. Obviously, we're playing in League One. They're entering the Johnson Paint Trophy, which it was called at the time. Just little games like that. I'm watching Marlon start. I'm watching Sid start. I'm watching Harry Smith start. And I think at that time, yes, I've come on like 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 3 minutes there. It's hard to, as a young kid, to come on 3 minutes to go and score as such. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're winning, you're killing the game. If you're losing by a lot, you're not really chasing the game as such. So I was never in a position where I felt comfortable to, I'm going to score today or I'm going to get an opportunity. I never had that opportunity.
Do you think it then? I mean, listen, Alfie, we all stand there and sit there in the stands and we look at football and that, and we all think that we could have scored that goal, we could have done that. Even though I'm 62 now, I still think there's a few chances I could have stuck away last year that some people missed. But what I'm saying is, when you go from sort of youth team football to the under 23s and then obviously into the first team, I'm not sure that we as fans fully understand the difference between playing in them levels, if you know what I mean. There's lots of people say, oh, all the youngsters should be in the first team and whatever. But what is it like making that jump from like a youth team player into the first team? Is it a really difficult step to make?
Yes, everything becomes a lot more sharper, and all it comes down to is a bit of trust from the manager. Because at the end of the day, the manager's job's on the line, not yours. So if he chucks you in, okay, yes, it's great. Fans are buzzing, they're seeing a youngster come through or a youngster playing, but everything's just much sharper. Everything is just a different ball game, and if you're not mentally prepared for that, especially at the Den, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. You are going to struggle, and I felt like I was always ready because I had done so much in terms of under 18s football, under 23s football. I'd went on loan so many times, so I felt like I was ready just for that one opportunity. But then to see someone start over me who had only been there a little while, Harry Smith, for example, and get that opportunity before me, it was a bit of a sucker punch, to be fair. And at that moment, I think it was Luton away, I think they had, and I think Harry scored 2. And I didn't even come on. So at that moment, I felt like I knew my Millwall career was coming to an end. And
I've always said, Alfie, I think it's really difficult for youngsters because if you're not sort of already prepared for first team football, shall we say, and like you were saying yourself, if you're not trusted, you've got to have a few games at it before you become fully up to scratch with first team football, haven't you, really? You know, you can't just say one game or 5 or 10 minutes here and there. You need to have a little bit of a run at it to actually feel at home, I think.
Yeah, and I do agree. But if you start a game, for example, Harry Smith's first game was against Luton Town. He started a game, he scored 2 goals. His name's in the limelight straight away because he's been given an opportunity to start. Fred's first game, I think, was Cholton at home.
Yeah,
if I'm correct, what a game to play in, you know.
Yeah,
But your first game, you're always you're playing off adrenaline, so the buzz is there. You know you have to get everything right because that's your opportunity. Sid Nelson, another one, I can't remember who he played against. I think it might have been Bradford at home or someone like that. I think he scored an own goal that game, to be fair. So
he did, yeah.
I think he caught the bar and hit him on the shin, and he done a roly-poly and a goal, didn't he?
Yes, yeah.
But like, it's just, and then he ended up having 15. Sid ended up having 15 games in the Championship by the time, obviously, we got relegated. But what a season he had! So like you say, it's just about that, giving that chance and that.
Can you describe your feeling, Alfie, actually getting that game? I mean, I've played a lot of football, nowhere near your standard, and I always just used to feel sick every game before sitting in the changing room. So it fascinates me how people actually feel or deal with the adrenaline of actually going out onto the football field.
Yeah.
Ted was playing Subbuteo, by the way.
Well, I was, yeah. And I used to get cramped playing that and all.
I think you don't really have time to think about it, especially if you're coming off the bench. Because if you're on the bench, you want to get on. Do you know what I mean? So if you've been told, because normally you find out the team on the Friday who's starting and stuff like that. So if you get told, if it's your debut and on the Friday you've been told, right, you're starting tomorrow, it's your first game, then your mind's going to do overtime and you're going to be thinking about it constantly and you'll have time. But if you're coming off the bench, you haven't got time to think about it. So it's just a crazy feeling. Just imagine 30,000 people just on top of you. Just, you can't hear yourself think. You can't hear anything. And it's just, it's a crazy, crazy feeling.
Yeah, but all them Millwall fans are giving you, encouragement to get out there until you make the first slip out on the pitch, and then we let you know what you shouldn't have done.
Yeah, exactly. You know, at home, obviously, it's a different ball game because if they see a youngster coming through, they're absolutely buzzing and they're behind you straight away. So I think it's only once you're there for a few years and you're not performing, that's when they have obviously a right to get on your back because they're paying their money to watch good football, and if you're not performing, then they deserve to say what they want.
Alfie, one from me again. I don't know if you noticed, but we released George Alexander this week. He's leaving after being with the club since he was 7. As a young player aspiring to become a regular member of a first team squad, how tough was it to make it through for you?
Through to Millwall, do you mean?
Yeah.
I feel like our pathway was much easier. Not easier, but I think Neil brought that youngster mentality. So obviously we've gone from Steve Lomas, Ian Holloway, characters around the squad, big characters, David Fords, like I said earlier, to all of a sudden where we used to not even allowed to eat in the same room as them. The youngsters we had to wait for them to have their breakfast, their lunch, before we was even allowed our lunch. So it's gone from that to now, Neil bringing the mentality of, right, we're all in this together. Youngsters, first team. And it was sort of that it was a really good environment to be in. So at our time, it was good. And as soon as you made that step up, you was comfortable straight away. Where I think as now, I still speak to all the boys now, and they're saying it's one of the best changing rooms that they've ever been in. So I couldn't see it being that much. I think George's obviously, I've seen George's stats. He scored, I don't know, however many goals, but he was there since he was 10 and he scored in every age group. So I think it just comes to a point where you're either ready or you're not. And if you're not ready, then what's the point of hanging on to somebody? You might as well just let them go and enjoy their football and enjoy their career and find a different path.
Well, we'll take a break there before we come back speaking to Alfie. But first, here is Bethany Warren talking about an app for the blind or partially sighted.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall Lionesses have partnered with international smartphone application Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is an application that truly benefits the poor of sight and the blind, but is supported by those of us that can see.
You might wonder how blind people deal with everyday challenges. Well, normally the answer is simple. We're not that different from you. We play music. We go to school. We go to work. You get the picture. But sometimes the simplest things can be difficult, and we need a pair of eyes.
Connect to first available number.
That's where you come in.
Establishing video connection.
Through your smartphone, Be My Eyes connects the blind with sighted people through a live video connection. Simply choose if you need help or want to help by the click of a button.
That's a nice picture of you and your family, Caroline. Is it for a present? Yes, it's a photo from my parents.
You can help just by installing the Be My Eyes app.
Front image.
And we'll notify you when someone needs your help. And if you're in the middle of something, don't worry. Someone else will step in. So, would you care to be my eyes?
Be My Eyes is displayed on the Lionesses shorts this season. Download the app onto your smartphone now and help those that need your eyes straight away.
I'm Eamonn Barclay. I'm back with a No One Likes Us Talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robinson and James Kelly. What a fantastic piece of technology that Be My Eyes app is. Right, well, we've still got that young man who joined us many moons ago, Alfie Pavey. And I think Gary was just about to ask him a question.
Yeah, I was. Outside of the first team, Alfie, who else did you play with that's notable to Millwall fans or even for other clubs that you've played for that Millwall fans might know and think, oh, you played with him as well, did you?
Obviously, the only one that can come to my mind is Abire Eze. I think everyone sort of realised of what a talent he was, or he is now, should I say. I think at the time...
Why do you think that didn't happen at Millwall,
again,
if you want to be honest?
I think maybe his style of play didn't suit the football club. Obviously, technically unbelievable, but at the time, he was never one that we looked at and thought that kid's going to go play in the Premier League. And that's totally honest. But he went away, and another one that didn't be given that opportunity to show what he can do. He can play up against 23s players and under 18s players as much as he likes, but until you're in the first team and on the big stage, you don't know what he's going to do. And he went to QPR and absolutely showed what he can do. And look at him now; he's playing in the Premier League and he's flying.
Yeah, I'll make you right. I'll make you right there, Alfie. I see Eze play in the youth team, and he looked the best player out on the pitch. But I could never see him getting into Millwall's first team because his style was away from the style that we had in the first team, which is a strange thing to say because he is such a talented boy, and you could see that. But it's strange. So with yourself, Alfie, I believe you left us just after Stevie Morrison's winner against Bradford that season. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was my final
Did you know
game.
you was going before that one, or was that your final game you was told after?
So I found out about January time, so I had about 4 months to sort of dilute everything, and I knew early because it was after that Luton game. I went and still see Neil, and I asked him, "Is there a future for me at this football club?" And me and Neil sat down and had a heart to heart about it, and I don't dislike him for any reason or anything that he's ever said to me, because he was like a second father to me, and I think many of people have quoted that. I think after his departure, I think you see how much of an impact he had at that football club, especially on players. And I was one of them, even though I felt like I deserved a chance, not a chance because he gave me a chance, but I deserved to maybe start a game at least. So yeah, that's where it was at, really.
Yeah, because Neil obviously was, like you said earlier, he had a big influence on you young lads because he was your manager for a while, wasn't he? In the in the 23s, yes. 23s and bringing you up. So, did you see him going on to be the manager of Millwall Football Club at the time, Neil? I mean, his heart and soul was there, without a doubt.
100%. His philosophy, the way he wanted to play, it was just he knows the club inside out. So why should he become Millwall manager one day? And I will say exactly the same about Steve Morrison. Another one who I think will become Millwall manager within the next 10 years. Two people who know the club inside out and have a way of playing that. Obviously, I don't know how Steve plays, but Neil's style of play was 4-4-2. Let's go for it, sort of thing. Turn the back four and have a right go. And once you get that philosophy in, then when the players buy into it, then you're only going to have success with it. Because I think Steve Lomas come in. I was young at the time. I can't really remember what he played, but
I don't think he knew what he played. To be quite honest,
yeah, I agree.
No. Are you still in touch with Neil, Alfie?
I speak to it if I ever need anything. For example, a bit of advice or something like that. I can pick up the phone. I know I can pick up the phone and he would answer me. If he don't pick up the phone himself, I know he'll get back to me within the next 24 hours. And I think that says so much about the man he is, that he cares about everybody he's worked with. So I've nothing but respect for Neil. And yeah, he'll go out of his way to do anything possible to help anyone.
Did I hear you say earlier, Alfie, that you've done football badges already? Did I hear?
Yeah, so I've got my
coaching badges.
Yeah, my coaching badges. So yeah, I've got my level 1 and my level 2. But obviously, pandemic has stopped me from getting on my B license and my A license. So my next stage is to do my B license. Hopefully, I'll get on a course in September.
So you see yourself fully in a footballing career then, after you finish playing, obviously, as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's very important that you have something to back back up from your football, because football don't last long. You know, an injury can happen tomorrow, and it could be all over with. So
we could be seeing you as you could be our manager one day then.
Yeah, I'll sign you if you want. I've only scored a few goals.
It sounds like you're never going to make a scout, mate. Signing back. No, but would you have ambitions to be a manager? Sorry, Gary.
That's all right.
100%.
No, what I was going to say was, Ted, as well, and Alfie, do you see yourself possibly ever getting a chance to go back into the Football League? Is that your dream, to get a couple more games? Yeah,
that is my ambition. I'm at the stage now where I'm 25, and I feel like these next few years are very important for me. After my release from Millwall, it was always about start again. I weren't one to want to go and trial all these clubs, where some players are desperate for that opportunity again and will go and trial here, trial there, go up and down the country. That isn't me. I just wanted to play football, get a smile back on my face. And go again. So I took the opportunity to go to Welling, local, ran the corner from the house, and I think I left there after 2 weeks. It was just wasn't for me at all. I wasn't playing, so it was just like, right, let me go back to my roots and go to Dartford. I had a manager, Tony Berman, who had been there for years, and his man management skills remind me of Neil so much. The way he spoke to his players, the way he helped his players, and he managed me in the right way. And I just had an unbelievable season that year. And I thought in the back of my mind, I did think, right, I'm back where I want to be now. This summer, I'm gonna potentially get a Football League move again. You know, which it didn't happen, which was fine by me. So I chose to then make the next step up, which was, so I've gone from National League South, so now I'm going into the National League, which is a tough league. Signed for Havant, they beat us to promotion that year from the South to go up. I spent 6 months there. The commute to Portsmouth twice a week, 2 evenings a week was draining me. And I had a discussion with Lee Bradbury, and Dover had come in to pay a fee for me, so it was full time. I was training in Maidstone around the corner from me. I say around the corner, about half hour, and it was just, okay, I'm back full time football now. It's an opportunity that I need to take to kick on again, and I signed for Dover. Again, I spent 6 months there, and Andy Hessenthal was my manager, another great manager that I played under, and yeah, I ended up having an all right 6 months there. So that's when Barnett put the offer on the table, and I think it was a deal that both clubs could have turned down. It was an undisclosed fee for the football club, and obviously a deal for me. I couldn't turn down, and it was another step in the right direction, because if you look at it, that football club should be in the Football League. The facilities, Barnett's facilities, the stadium, everything about that football club, it's a Football League football club. So I thought, right, it's another step in the right direction. I'm working my way back up. I signed there. After 2 months, I ended up breaking my leg, so that put me out for a good 6 months, 7 months, and then obviously a pandemic happened, so it was about a year with no football. So now I was sort of back to square one. Managed to get myself fit. New manager come in, didn't really see eye to eye, just a matter of opinions, and a manager stopping me from playing football and doing things that I love doing. So, and now we're currently in the process of me still not playing football. So in a way, I've not had a run of games for a year and a half since my injury. So I'm at a bit of a standstill at the moment. So yeah, let's just see where.
So what does the future have for you then, Alfie? The next season?
Yeah, so I'm out of contract. Actually, I think my contract runs out today, actually, at Barnet, so I'm currently a free agent.
Oh, is anyone listening out there? Sorry, mate, sorry. My timing, unbelievable, I tell you.
No, I just think I'm in a way, I'm quite, not happy, but I'm relieved that my time has come to an end there. It's been a difficult period, and it's time for me to move on. The furlough scheme and things like that, you know, I don't understand how a football club can still be operating and you're able to use the government scheme to furlough players, but then you're signing other players. I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. But it's the world we live in right now, and it is what it is. And so obviously I'm clubless, but you know, I'm not going to be shy of a football club come the summer. I know I'm going to get.
Is there anything in the pipeline, Alfie?
Yeah,
anything?
I've spoken to a few clubs already, so it's just about me picking the right option. My girlfriend's currently pregnant, so
congratulations.
Thank you very much. We
scored somewhere last year, then.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. Don't worry. When I announced it, that's all the Barnet fans were saying. So don't worry about that one already.
Is there a few conference teams in there, though, Alfie, for you?
Yeah. That's good. They are all conference teams, the ones that are contacting me. So, I do want to stay. But, you know, it is what it is, and it's the way football goes. That's why you never get... Scott Fitzgerald used to always say to us, you know, never be too high, never be too low, just stay in the middle. Stay in the middle.
Well, first game of the season next year, Alfie, for your new team will be Barnet away. There you go. And I can see you scoring an hat-trick, mate. That really rub it in.
Rub it in.
Well, that's brilliant, Alfie. And it's good to hear that at your prime now, 25, you're going to be pushing, and hopefully we'll see you back in the Football League. It'll be absolutely brilliant.
Hopefully.
Absolutely brilliant. But before you go, there's a tradition on the show that guests need to provide a prediction for our next match. So what do you think the score will be when Millwall face Bristol City at the Den this Saturday?
Let's go with, I'm going 2-0 Millwall. Jed Wallace, and I'm going to say Danny McNamara for his first goal.
He's going to break his duck, eh? Yeah.
To be fair, he's been close. He has been close.
Yes.
A few games. And he scored a wonderful goal at St Johnson, didn't he? So I'm gonna back down on this one. I'm gonna text him as well after and tell him he needs to score now because I've called it on. So
tell him you've told his story on here. That'll be he'll be worried then. No, bless him. Danny Mac is going to be. I think he's going to be good for us. I see it all the way,
and I think he can step up as well.
Yeah. Well, he's proved it straight away, hasn't he? You know, he's done his time out on loan. You know, he come on loan when I was at Dover. So I took him under my wing there, looked after him a bit, and he performed well there. And then he went to Newport, performed there, and then he took the step up to the Scottish Prem, and you know, he got called back early. And there's nothing more you want to do than play for the club you love. And he's done that, and hopefully he'll be there for many more years.
And Ireland too. How about that?
And Ireland, exactly. So he's got a good career in front of him. If he keeps level-headed, then he'll have a bright future.
Well, thanks again, Alfie, for coming on the show. All our best to you for your future career, and maybe we can catch up for more stories down the line. It's been fascinating listening to you tonight, and I think all the team would agree exactly the same.
Yeah.
It really has. It really has.
Wish you all the best, Alfie.
We do.
Hopefully you're scoring loads of goals next year.
Yeah.
It'll be nice.
But not in our net. That's the only thing. Yeah. Cheers, Alfie. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Alfie.
Thanks, Alfie. Take care.
Well, that was fantastic having Alfie on there. Sadly, we've lost our fan in the dugout. We're going to move on from there, and we're going to talk about the Millwall Lionesses and the Romans, who are playing currently without fans. I've got Tom Baker and John Goodyear from the Millwall Romans, and they're going to give us their latest update.
Hello, it's Tom Baker again here from the Millwall Romans, and this week I am with our striker and long-term Romans player, John Goodyear. So, John, we had Soho FC at home this week. How did we get on?
Yeah, we did really, really well. So the past couple of games, obviously, coming back after a long break, you can maybe see it was a bit rusty, but this week it really felt like we got into our stride. Definitely the strikers scored a lot of goals, even the defenders tipped in a few, and definitely feels like we're starting to hit the kind of form we were in before Christmas.
Remind us of the final score?
So it was 7-2. So we had 3 goals from Bass, 2 from Jay. So you can see why I'm not starting at the minute. And then, also first goal by Rich Nichols, who, having missed a penalty once, managed to score a beautiful goal storming down the left. And the final goal from Nick from a corner, which he wants us to point out is on our Instagram, even though it was not the most impressive.
Yes, it's actually quite a good shot. So if you want to check it out, you can see that at our Instagram, which is at Millwall Romans. So, John, as I said, you've been at the club a long time. Just remind us, how long have you been a player for Millwall Romans and before that, obviously, London Romans?
So it's pretty much my 6th anniversary now. So it was when I first moved down to London that I found the team. They were a bit short on a Sunday, so I turned up and, actually played left back in my first game. And since then, they discovered I was a striker and I've been playing ever since.
On to score predictions. This week, Millwall have Bristol City at home. They've obviously had a tough run of fixtures, but this is quite a nice game to have as the last home game of the season, I would say. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I definitely think, obviously, it's been a tough run playing 4 of the top 5 teams in the last few games. But, this is the kind of game, Bristol City, further down the table. I think it could definitely be a good run out for some of the younger players. And I'm thinking probably 2 or maybe 3-1 to Millwall.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to stick my neck out and say 3-0 Millwall.
Absolutely fantastic. The Romans are unbeaten in 4 since returning to football. And Jay Lamonius must be in double figures for this return since then. 4 games, double figures. It's not doing too bad. The Romans are on fire, there's no doubt about it. The other team underneath the Millwall umbrella is Millwall Lionesses. And they succumbed to a second defeat in their 5 friendlies since their return to football, when they faced Billericay Town reserves last weekend behind closed doors. Some lessons to be learned there, as more friendly matches will continue to be played. Well, we'll take a break there before we look ahead to Saturday's game, but for now, here's Bethany Warren. Yeah, Bethany Warren once again, talking about a great story that is born out of the passing of a goalkeeping star of women's football, Jordan Dawes, and her cousin's efforts to raise money in her memory.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall fans Danielle and James will be running the London Landmark Half Marathon in August, in memory of Danielle's cousin, Jordan Dawes. Listen to Danielle tell her story.
Hello, so I am running the London Landmark Half Marathon in August. While training for Tough Mudder, which I'm doing in September, I feel I got the bug for running. I wanted to give myself a challenge, and while raising money for Eleanor. Jordan's memory lives on forever, and as a family, we honour her memory by giving back to the charities that gave their care and support during the darkest of times. Jordan lost her battle to cancer in 2019. She was a keen footballer, playing for the likes of Charlton Athletic, Gillingham, and ending her football career at Kent Football United. One of the most memorable times for me and the family when watching Jordan play was when she actually saved a penalty in a cup final, leading Kent Football United to win. She was an infectious person to be around. Her smile lit up the room. She was keen in talking to James about Millwall. She'd come with us as of when she can. And the last game that she actually went to was the FA Cup game against Everton, where Millwall actually spoilt her, made her feel really special. She was able to meet some of the players, have her pictures taken with the keeper at the time, and was actually given the treatment of being able to go into the exec lounge as well. The way that people can donate, and we really would appreciate if anyone can, big, small, whatever it is through my pinned tweet on Twitter. My Twitter handle is DannyL1206, and that is DANNI1206. Or you can go through Just Giving website, that is justgiving.com/fundraising/Jordan Dawes Half Marathon. Just want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen, and anyone that donates, so thank you.
What a story, and what a lovely couple Danielle and James are in doing this together. So, if you can help, you can just put James and Danielle fundraising for Eleanor, that is ELLENOR, into your browser, and the Just Giving page will be shown. I'll say that again. Just put James and Danielle fundraising for Eleanor, that is ELLENOR, into your browser, and the Just Giving page will be shown. Thank you. A link will also be in our announcements on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm Eamonn Barclay, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us talking team of Ted Robinson, James Kelly and Gary Staff. Eleanor is a Kent-based service who for children and young adults extends to the London Borough of Bexley. They're the only charity in the country who provides hospice care for people of all ages, and their care includes the widest range of care possible. I can't say no more than that. If you can support Danielle and James' efforts in memory of Millwall fan Jordan, you will make a difference. Well, it's time to look ahead to what's coming up for our Lions next. But first, we will hear from that Twitter and Facebook video sensation.
Hi everyone, Ellis here. Thanks for watching my videos and thank you for all the support. But now it's time to look ahead to your next match. Come on, Millwall!
Well, thanks, Ellis. How can they call that upside-down, rusty aircraft-looking thing the Angel of the North up on the old A1? I don't know, but your trip up north earned you that title outright. Well, our Henry Stato Morgan is up next with no one from the opposition. You might remember that Henry tried to talk to BS3 Podcast after we beat them down in Bristol, and they didn't want to answer him. Anyway, it seems like they've gotten undercover ever since then. So let's hear what Henry's got to say about our 3 p.m. kickoff this Saturday.
Evening all, welcome to View from the Opposition with Henry Morgan this evening, with a lack of opposition due to the podcast that we were going to be speaking to basically going off the record. We can't get hold of them, so I'm going to do a really brief sort of overview, give you a few statistics so you can have a think about what you think about our game against Bristol City at the Den, our last home game of the season. Here are some numbers for you guys. Bristol City come into the game 18th in the table, having won 15, lost 23 and drawn 6. To give you an idea, that is the second lowest number of draws of any team in the division. I think Rotherham are the only other team that have drawn 6 games. So it's usually a definite outcome when Bristol City play. They're on pretty poor form. Their last win came on March the 13th at Birmingham, where they won 3-0. No win in the last 8. They sit 15th in the away league table. So if you looked at all of their results over the season away from home, they'd be bang in the middle, basically, just below the middle. Whereas us, actually, at home this season have had a pretty shocking form. And I imagine that won't come as a surprise to many of you. But actually, the only other team that have lost the same amount of games, as a win percentage or as low as us, is Wycombe. So we're on 27%. We have won only 27% of our home games this season. Wycombe have only won 27% of their games this season, just over a quarter. Must be one of our worst home seasons in living memory. In a normal year, I'd expect that kind of statistics for us to go down, but our away form basically has kept our heads above the parapet. Not forgetting, of course, they beat us in the FA Cup 3-0 in January at the Den in a game where they looked like they might be turning a corner. That obviously hasn't happened. It will be a game where we'll be hoping to finish the season at home on a high with a performance more like the one against Watford last Saturday that was more battling. There will be a lot of speculation, a lot of things has been talked about this week about team selection. It would be lovely to see some of those youngsters coming back in. It'd be lovely to see Bury out there. It'd be lovely to see Muller maybe in the back three, but it does also have to be said that Marlon Romeo probably had the best game he's had for a number of months coming into the back three. Thought he played very well and was probably my man of the match against Watford. So that'll be something to watch. I also thought Tom Bradshaw, who's taken a lot of stick this season, I personally think slightly unfairly, he hasn't started a lot of games. When he has started, have we played to his strengths? I don't think we've played to his strengths, but this is a personal opinion. But I think Bradshaw, Mason Bennett and Jed Wallace looked very good as a three up front, and they did cause some problems. And, giving Tom maybe a longer run out and seeing, not taking him off after 71 minutes, I couldn't really get my head around that, to bring on Zohore, who I can't see a signing given his wages and what he's produced for us, really. A very different type of player, to somebody like Tom Bradshaw. So it'd be fantastic to see those three starting up top again, especially with the sad news this week, obviously, that Gary Alexander's son has left the club and moving on to pastures new. So I want to just go on record as wishing him all of the best. Carla Mari Hales from Millwall Fans Home and Away have predicted a 2-0 Millwall victory. Carla, I hope you're right there. That would be a fantastic end to this season. I think it's going to be maybe a bit closer. I think maybe 2-1 to the Lions. But I do think that if we can pull out the sort of performance we had against Watford last week, then we could finish at home this season with a win. Hopefully build over the summer. Look to try and build on our mid-table finish this season. That's all from view from the opposition, without the opposition. I look forward to seeing or speaking to somebody from a Coventry City podcast or something before next week. Until then, take care, one and all. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, obviously, Henry hasn't got much of a memory. A 27% win, I think. We can probably think and match that up quite easily, Ted, don't you reckon?
I think so, mate. Yeah.
I think I'll tell him to go and have a look at the Millwall history files. It might affect his view about that. Anyhow, some interesting facts. How does that fit with you guys?
Listen, Bristol City have had a funny old season to me. One point at the start of the season, it looked like they was going to be one of the ones that were going to be up there.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the wheels came off drastically. I think they've got. I'm a big admirer of Nigel Pearson, and I think come next season you might see a completely different Bristol City, possibly even one of the ones for playoff next year, because I think he's such a good manager. But at the moment, and the way that they're going. Listen, if we put in a performance like we did against Watford, it's going to be interesting to see who Gary picks. If he puts the same sort of side out, I definitely think the front three deserve another go if they're all fit and raring to go. Or if they're not, perhaps try a different three, if you know what I mean. If someone's Mason Bennett's injured or Jeb Wallace is just sort of knackered and whatever, and they want to throw somebody else in there. But it seemed to work quite well. What was interesting to me was the fact that he left Woods on the bench and kept Billy Mitchell in and Cliftonville. We've been really unlucky with injuries ourselves, though, haven't we? Hutch going out and Leonard when he was at the best of his performances. But even Cliftonville, when he came in, he got himself injured. But the guy looks a player to me from the games that he has played. So, I think it's worth sticking with what we done last week. Maybe one or two, throwing one or two in there. But I'd like to see us start with the same side if possible. And I'm fairly confident we can turn Bristol City over. It'd be nice to see Tom Bradshaw score a goal.
It would be. It would be.
Yeah, I mean, like as Ted said, Bristol City have been a very strange side this season. I mean, they started off with a flyer under Dean Holden, and then all of a sudden it just went pear-shaped. They obviously sacked him, brought in Nigel Pearson, who, again, as Ted said, is a very good manager, and I think he's actually extended his deal with them today, or he's become their permanent manager. So, we got a very good result against them in the league earlier on this season. All right, the FA Cup was, wasn't what we needed, but I'd like to think that we could get a very good win if we put in a performance like we did against Watford. I don't see why we can't.
Well, yeah, you just put the mockers on it all because old Pearson has signed for life or something. Yeah. So they'll all be buoyed by that, and they'll probably return the gesture that we did at Bristol, which brought our game back to
bit of a strange one. Both teams should be on the beach already. It's one of those. I'd like to see a few more kids. I know it's the old cliche, but maybe, as you say, if Mason Bennett and Jed are injured, don't break them. Don't break them. Only a couple of games left. Maybe put Bury or and someone else in just to fill those places. I think we're going to win. I'm not going to say we're not. I think we're going to win, but just give a few other people a chance. I'd be on the edge.
Mahoney's a possibility.
Mahoney,
Gary.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Just someone who's sitting on the fringes who just needs that couple of games just to get themselves back in and give them that lift before next season. Because Mahoney's still ours next season, I believe, as well, who probably deserves a good run because he hasn't hit the ground. He got a bad injury again. And too many players that see this season. And that's not like us. We've never been that sort of side that's had so many injuries in the last couple of years. And it's been a bit hard pill to swallow this year.
I'll tell you, Gary, I said it at the start of the season, and I maintain it now. I think Conor Mahoney is the most talented footballer that we've got there. And I include, and people might laugh at me with this, but I include that with Jed Wallace. I think if we can get the best out of Conor Mahoney, we'll have someone certainly up at the same level as Jed Wallace, if not above it, because he can play. He can go with either foot. He's so talented on the ball, and he's just been really unlucky this year with his injuries and that. And I think he needed to mature a little bit as a player, and I'm hoping the injury, in a daft sort of way, has helped him to mature a bit and become the player that I'm not sure. Not saying only me, but I think there's quite a few people around Millwall believe that he actually is.
Yeah, there's a lot in there that are behind him. I mean, even our sponsor, old Dean Wilson, he's also a Conor Mahoney sponsor. And I remember when he turned up, Dean was really over the moon that this guy had signed for Millwall. So I think you're right, Ted, what you're saying.
It's just sometimes a player just needs a decent run of things, if you know what I mean, to go their way. You get your players that are ultra consistent in a sense, and you can put Jed in that bracket, who always, performs to a certain extent, sort of 7 or 8 games out of 10. You'll get Jed Wallace at near his best. And there's sort of flair players like Conor Mahoney that need a bit more of a constant run to bring out the best in them, if you know what I mean. And he's had a bit of a stop-start sort of career at Millwall at the moment. I'm just hoping and praying he gets a good close season under his belt, training wise and whatever, comes out firing at the start of next season, and I think it'd be like a new signing if we can get him up to full speed and really involved with the first team. We could have a real good player there.
Yeah, let's be hopeful. Any predictions, guys?
Well, I'm going with Alfie, and I'm going to have 2-0 Millwall. The only difference, I think Danny McNamara will score his first goal, but I think Billy Mitchell will get the other one.
Oh, James?
I'm going to say 2-1 Millwall.
Right. Anything beyond the 2-1?
I'll go goal scorers as well. I think Jed's going to get a goal and Bennett's going to get a goal. I think he's due one.
Okay. Yeah. Wallace and Bennett. I like the sound of that. Gary?
I'm going to go for a clean sheet for Bart, and I'm going to make it a bit more comfortable. 3-0. Jed with 2 assists, because I think that'll get him as double-double for 2 seasons going, or maybe he needs 1, not sure. I have to ask Stato on that one. But I'd go Mason if he plays, Connor if he plays, but I definitely think Mahoney will get on McNamara will get on the sheet today.
Well, today even. That'd be handy.
I changed my name. Yeah. I changed mine to 3-0 because I did say Tom Bradshaw would score. So
that's right. Well, you got to get him in. Yeah, I reckon old Tom Bradshaw is going to score. I reckon we're going to score 3 goals, and I'll go with Tom Bradshaw. I'm going to go with Jake Cooper, and I'm going to go with Jed Wallace. All right. Now, don't forget, you can hear Henry reviewing Saturday's match. I think he's going to get someone from Bristol Rovers to talk to him about how they're feeling down in Bristol City, because it's very difficult to get anyone from Ashton Gate at all. Well, you might get old Ed Upson. Old Ed Upson is down at...
as long as it's not Ian Holloway.
No, you won't have it. He's up in Grimsby, isn't he? Don't forget, he's a long way.
Relegated them, isn't he?
Yeah, they're in the mire. Anyway, you'll be able to hear what Henry thinks of what happened in that game in the week on our social media sites and Spreaker. We'll take a break there for a message from Patricia Maslin with an introduction from that Wembley mascot and Bermondsey boy, Harvey Brown.
Harvey Brown here. I miss my football at the Den. Did you know Millwall Community Trust are continuing to help people of all ages from different walks of life and are doing so much good in these tough times? But they need our help. Here's Patricia to tell you more.
Oh, thank you for that intro, Harvey. Millwall Community Trust appreciates your support. You are a star. The Millwall Community Trust, MCT, have launched a bursary fund to tackle financial hardships. The bursary fund has been put in place to aid individuals participating in an MCT activity or programme. The funds will be awarded to help further an individual's career and potential at MCT. Sean Daly, CEO of the Trust, said, "Funds raised from our fundraising events and donations from supporters of the Trust will support the MCT's bursary, which will in turn offer financial support to participants on our programmes. For example, helping with travel expenses so they can attend, providing clothing for young people, or paying for a haircut for an interview." Jubin Sarami, who was part of the initial fundraiser for the fund, said, "It was amazing to be able to raise funds for and launch our bursary fund. We achieved this with support from our amazing fans who took part in a month-long virtual race around Europe between all the host Euro 2020 cities. Our fantastic fans ran, cycled and walked nearly 6,000 miles. Thanks to them, we were able to smash our fundraising target." The bursary fund will be open to all participants of Millwall Community Trust programmes. We are really excited to launch the project and will always welcome donations. For further information about the bursary, please email Sean Daly, that is SDALY at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. If you wish to make any donations, insert Millwall Community Trust into your internet browser, click on Donate, either on the browser page or on the header of the MCT website. Thank you.
Well, that's a pretty nice thing that they've got there for kids who want to get onto community trust programmes. Well, I'm Eamonn Barclay and I'm back with a No One Likes Us talking team of Ted Robinson, Gary Staff and James Kelly. People's lives are still being lost to this dreadful virus or a consequence of suffering with it. Infections continue but are reducing here in the UK. Not so much the case around the world. Even so, people continue to be hospitalised here. Our thoughts go out to the victims, their families, friends and those that take care of them.
There are so many fans who want to support the club, and for now you can simply make a donation when you renew your season ticket. All the details and more can be found on the Millwall website. Additionally, don't forget, iFollow returns to our screens with Cole Bates and Max McLennan on Saturday when we face Bristol City. 100% of what you pay, less taxes for the internet streaming service home or away, goes back to Millwall Football Club. What a wonderful way to improve their revenue during these challenging times. Sponsorship packages will be announced, along with commercial opportunities for the new season coming soon. So watch out for the Millwall website for further details. Good night from me.
Next Friday, the incredible Johnny Burrow returns to host the Rose Between Two Thorns show with the miserable George Lampy, Bethany Warren and Stan Goodwin. In the meantime, Scott Johnson, the founder of the Proper Blokes Club, is still looking for guys to come along and join him to break the stigma of men's mental health with walk and talk groups. Groups walks now take place on Thursdays and Sundays once again from HMS Belfast. Check out the Proper Blokes Club on Twitter and Facebook for further details. And it's good night from me.
Don't forget, Millwall Lionesses and Romans are now playing football under the current restrictions. Nevertheless, these games are not currently open to fans. The Lionesses are having open training sessions for prospective new first team players, which commenced on the 7th of April. You'll need to register interest on a form which is available on their Facebook and Twitter sites to attend. Millwall Romans return to playing and training and potential joiners are welcome. Make contact through either their Facebook or Twitter sites. Both teams train and play their home games at that most excellently managed Millwall Community Trust site, St Paul's Sports Ground, Salter Road, Rotherhithe, and you could be playing there too. And it's good night from me.
Lastly, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Follow the Lockdown 3.0 reducing guidance, social distancing when outside and a face mask when necessary. Well, that's it for me. But thanks Ted, James and Gary. Until the next time, good night.